All right, and welcome everyone to another Indie Spotlight. Tonight we've got a really awesome creator with us to talk about his comics and all of the work that he has been doing. And he's got a lot of really, really cool comics, so we're really excited to talk about it today. Of course, I'm your intrepid host, Michael, one of the Wicked co-founders, and also got Matt here with us as well, the other Wicked co-founder. Hey,
How
Matt.
we doing, everyone?
And as I said, we've got an awesome creator today. He goes by the moniker Cools Dolo and has a lot of different works. So we're going to dive into all of them today. So without further ado, welcome. And how are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
Excellent. I'm so excited to hear that. And thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Yeah. You guys for having a platform for not only myself but other creators that you featured and
Oh, definitely. You're very, very welcome. And we're happy to do so. Um, n- now, and so let's see here. Now, before we dive into going into looking into some of your other comic books, and and specifically looking at some of the art, I always like to start with trying to find
Mhm.
out a little bit more of you as an artist, as a creator. What
Yeah.
got you started into writing and comic book creating, in specifically?
So it's funny. I always say I quote a Jay-Z song where in
Mm.
it he says, "This ain't the life I chose, but rather the life that chose me."
I
So
like that.
prior to doing comic books, I was in the music industry. So I was making
Mm.
music, producing, writing songs, rapping, performing, doing all that type of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it reached a point where I was kind of dissatisfied with it, and that I didn't feel it was creatively as stimulating as it was when I first started out.
Mm.
And I was like, you know what, maybe I should move. Maybe that'll help because I'm from Wisconsin, by the way.
Mm. Okay.
So I was like, I was gonna go to Atlanta, see how that is. We go to
Oh yeah.
Atlanta,
Okay.
check it out. It's cool, but the whole time in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't know, I'm not in love with the idea anymore. So on our drive back to Wisconsin, I saw this sign. It was like "Danger Falling Rocks," and I was like, "Falling Rock." That'd be a cool name for like a location or a setting for a story.
Mm. Oh
So
wow.
from there, like we're driving, and then like the ideas are like piling up in my head. So as soon as we get back, I started writing this story out. What would eventually be true science fiction. The first one, which is
Mm.
set in Fallen Rock, and at work, I would always have like a notebook where I do like little storyboards and stuff like that. Just kind of entertain myself while I was on the job, and I had always been writing. To go back even further, the time I was ever writing, I was writing like love poems for girls and stuff. So that was literally my introduction to writing. This one girl was like, "Wow, you got a way
That's
with
funny.
words," and I was
Hey,
like,
that works.
"Thank you." Yeah. So then from there, I'm like, whatever. But fast forward. So at work, my coworkers, they'd be like, "Man, you should really do something with these little storyboards, or you can make this into something." I was like, "I guess I could." I never really thought about it. But then that's where it goes into where the life chose me. It was always there, but I never paid attention to it up until 2018, 2019. And then, well, once I put out the first true science fiction, it just kind of all came from there. So that was
Oh,
beautiful.
wow. That's really
Yeah.
cool. I love that. That's a really interesting story, having you come from the music industry and kind of switch into this and getting into storybook writing, like, it shares. I could see how, like, maybe there are elements that are similar in both, like the storytelling elements.
Yeah, and I tell people that all the time. Like when you write a
Mm,
song, you're really telling a whole story. You're telling a story of either you or from a viewpoint of, the characters that are featured in the song or whatever. And you
mm,
have to do it in
mhm,
such a small amount of time. And it's no different than a comic book where you can only do it in a certain amount of
wow.
pages
Oh,
with a
that's
certain amount of
interesting, yeah.
panels.
That's a good point, you're right, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so you
And
break it down to a science. You kind of know, or at least for me, I know I can break it down into a science where I'm like, okay, I only got this amount of panels for this page, boom, boom, boom. Or it's for a song, okay, I got a verse that's this long and then hook and whatever. So you got to be really careful and meticulous with what you say or what you try to put into the story of the song or the comic. But
Oh, that's
yes.
really interesting. Yeah, you're right because it is. You have that finite amount of pages in the comic, and so it is very
Hmm.
similar in that way.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so True Science Fiction was your first title. By the way, I love that. It's a great title.
Thank you.
That's really fun.
Yeah, I
And
love it.
so you started with that, and that one was written by you. And did you work with an artist then, or how did you come to start, getting the art out there for your comics?
So the first artist I ever worked with on a comic book was Ria Yu. She's from Russia.
Mm.
She lives
Oh
in
wow,
South Korea now. But yeah, I
interesting.
found her online. I told her the idea that I had. I sent her the script, the storyboards that I had, and she did an immaculate job. So kudos to her.
And then from there, you just and I'm gonna pull up your website here in just a second, so we can check out some of the art.
Hmm.
But from there, you clearly fell in love with creating comics because you've gone
Hmm.
on to make so many more.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's really amazing to see your output of work. Like you definitely are passionate. I can see the passion here. You know.
Yeah, I'm really big into storytelling. So even when
Mm.
I was doing music, I was doing films too.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
prior to
Yeah.
that, as a kid, I wanted to do cartoons and animation. So I would watch all the behind the scenes on DVDs and stuff like that. How do they make it? I'm watching them do storyboards, talking to like in their writers' rooms, how they do, and like subconsciously, I was like absorbing all that information. So when I made the transition to comic books, I just put all of that into that. Like I knew, a variety of different things and methods to tell the story the right way. And just like in film, a panel is just a frame. So, it's all just kind of organic.
So yeah, I was gonna say it's kind of a natural, next step for you almost. It sounds like.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's interesting, yeah. Very
Well,
cool, man,
also
really.
in a way, you've become a jack of all trades for the
Mm,
entertainment business. It seems as well. Like from the music to the writing to even what you were saying with designing your story a little bit, with the storyboarding and everything, and then even beyond that with your music and understanding all these things that go into entertainment and how you coalesce it all into story making.
Hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the next thing you put on there is director. It
Yeah.
mm,
it reminds me a lot of me growing up, just trying to figure out where I want to be in the art field,
Yeah.
going from making bands to making logos
Yep.
to just doing a bunch of different arts, even looking into filmmaking, going to some classes for those, like
Exactly.
a bunch of different things. So, I mean, it's really funny to kind of hear that kind of same little variation of steps, but those steps were still there in a way that reminds me of myself growing up as well. So that's pretty good. I do
Yeah.
like that.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very carnivorous with how I create. I can't say.
mm.
I just love it. I love telling stories. I love surprising people with just my thoughts and words that I can put together and things of that nature. I love painting pictures. I don't know, something about it
A
that's
general artist,
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
totally, man.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, what uh, do you, beyond creating the concepts for it, have you ever thought about doing art for your own comics at one point, or would
Mm,
you rather just not pay someone but work with someone to do the art for you?
It's funny, eventually I do want to do the artwork myself. I need to practice my drawing a lot more. Currently when
mm.
I draw all the storyboards for every comic that I do.
Oh, wow.
So I know how it's like I know how to do it, but I do it in a way that's really simple. So when I give it to the illustrator,
Mm,
they can understand immediately what I'm trying to say.
okay.
Because I don't leave my scripts very detailed. My scripts are very simple. And then I give them the storyboards, which are also very
Oh,
simple,
wow.
so they can understand a lot better.
Dude, that's a
Vision.
different take. I like that approach.
Hmm.
I always like hearing about people's different approaches to writing scripts, and that's not one I've heard before, I don't think. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, because in my mind, I'm like, well, okay, if I can draw it, then I know someone else can draw it. If I can draw it, and like you were saying with just with film directing, like you can be your own cinematographer. You know the angles, you know where characters are gonna be at. I'm always thinking of different angles and just lighting, cinematography, where are characters placed, establishing shots. You know these things, all these things I always think about when I make.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's the composition for it? What's your main
Yeah.
focus? What's background
Hmm.
kind of thing?
Yeah.
That's actually when I'm doing art. That's actually kind of my approach for when I'm doing scenes and everything. Or
Yeah.
let's
Seriously.
say because we do the comic project art, that's kind of what I have to think about. What part of Rome is it? Is it going to
Hmm.
be inside, outside? And I understand a lot of
For
this
real.
goes in with like writers and stuff like that, but to think of it, I don't want to say picturesque, but trying to think of like an image from your mind for that is a little bit more. I wouldn't say it's a lot more comprehensive,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. Like it's not complex, but it there's a little bit more depth and detail that you go into besides writing. Because writing, you want to get clear across as soon as possible, because if you just keep going, it just sounds like rambling, and then it
For sure.
becomes, I would say, confusing would be the best term for that. If you just keep going on and on with the writing.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
feel as a writer, and I think this it goes back to the songwriting. I want to be as succinct as possible. I want to eliminate as many words as possible. How can I say this in the most direct way to where the reader or the artist or whoever else is interpreting the work, they can get it immediately. So that's been a skill that it didn't come easy at first. It happens over time, but yeah, you just want to be really direct. You want to make sure you deliver the point easy so they get it.
No, I want to get into taking a look at some of the art and the comics. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so we can take a look at your website.
Yeah, let's go.
Hmm.
Uh, and so your comic company is From Scratch Comics.
I made that logo, by the way.
Oh, really? That's fun.
Mhm.
I like it, man. Is that I see some like art peeking through. Is that one of your characters there from one of your
Yeah,
stories, perhaps?
it was it's taken from an old box logo that I had, like a corner
Oh,
box
really?
logo. I kind of dropped that into some scratches, and I just kind of working with.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, yeah, I like that. I like that. That's fun.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And so this is a nice overview of some of the different comics that you have released.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you got an amazing array of titles here, and it looks like a lot of different genres. Is that right? Am I?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Keemshore. What kind of a book is that one? Is that like kind of a more of a yeah? I just want to know what that one's about. Like the cover, like
Oh, for
instantly, is like,
sure.
okay, what is this one, dude?
So Keem Shore.
Ah,
So Keem Shore is my first novella. Um,
oh
and
wow.
I was inspired from my aunt because she publishes books too. She just
Oh,
started not
nice.
too
Okay.
long ago. And I was like, you know what? I never did a story where it's just all words.
Mm,
And I was like, okay, let me just try it. Let me see if I'm good at it. So I put together the story of Keem Shore and the protagonist, Declan Selby. He's at a point in his life where he's like he wants something new. He needs a change. So he contacts a friend that lives in Keem Shore. Now Keem Shore is this really mysterious kind of coastal town. The waters surrounding it are as murky as the characters that inhabits it.
I
You know.
love it. Yeah,
So
that's great.
and yeah, it's just that I love that one. It's like a
That was
side
like kind of like a
novel.
mystery, huh?
Yeah, well, it's mystery, romance, science fiction, drama,
Oh wow.
horror.
Dang.
It's a
Got
blend of so
a
many
lot of
things.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you tend to mix genres like that? Throw a lot of different stuff in?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I especially love adding horror to things, just like a little bit of horror.
Hmm.
I can't get enough of
What
that.
are some of your horror titles then?
That it would be Shrivel,
Ah,
the
yes. I
revival
think
guild you
that
can
one
see
was down
there.
here, I believe. There it is. Shrivel.
Hmm. Those two especially, and and Crime Capital has some
I was gonna
horror
say Crime
bits.
Capital looks pretty cool. I love the cover there, man. Yeah, I love me
Yes,
some dark stories. So,
very dark.
yeah, that one's definitely
When I,
catching my eye.
yes, Crime Capital is definitely
uh,
a favorite of
oh, and I
mine.
see it's by Rhea Yu. That was the artist you mentioned earlier, correct?
That's right. That's
Oh,
right.
nice. Okay. So you've
And that's what
worked with
she's
her on a
really
number of
about.
projects, but it also looks like you've worked with a variety of different artists.
Oh yeah, I work with a ton of different artists from
Oh
all over
wow,
the world, really.
wow, that's cool. How do you usually get in contact with them? Is it through social media or?
So I use more professional sites like
Oh
Upwork.
really? Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't.
interesting.
Social media is too many things to filter out and through. I need to see that you have like a track record. I need to see
That's
resume.
interesting.
I need
Wow,
to
that's
know
very
that you're a
professional.
professional. I
Yeah,
don't.
no, I respect
Yeah,
that, man.
yeah.
That's really.
Twitter and all that is just I though to
Mhm.
be fair, I have met a lot of artists on Twitter and Instagram, but I do prefer to do more professional websites for hiring.
Okay. Well, that's actually probably a good tip out there. I'm sure a lot of us out there probably didn't even consider maybe doing, trying to look in that kind of a direction. So.
Oh yeah, and plus there's a lot more safety to it. It's not
Right. Okay.
like you're sending a guy like what however much money for this, that, and the third, and it's just on
Oh
Twitter.
yeah.
You don't have
So
any
I'm
safety
sure
guards at all.
there's people out there. I know people who have been burned before, and
Oh yeah.
so yeah, that's always a risk. And
Hmm.
anything you do to mitigate that risk would be helpful. So
Exactly.
yeah, that makes
Exactly.
sense.
And you want to know who they are, who they say they are. So
Right. And now give me the loot. What's that one about?
Gimme the Loot is my homage to comic strips of the days of old.
Ah.
So
Okay.
it stars Robbie, and he's he's a thief. He's just hilarious. He always wants to steal things, and he breaks the fourth wall a lot. So he'll mention me and say that I'm the reason he's a thief, which is pretty funny. I love his hijinks, and he's like a Saturday morning cartoon character. It's very funny.
And so that one is definitely a comedy series. Is that your only comedy series?
That's my main comedy series. Yeah. A lot of the other titles they have jokes, humor sprinkled in here and there, but just about every title that I have or operates in its own way or it speaks to something that I'm interested in personally. So Penny Peculiar, for instance,
Mm.
that's a romance slash a comedy slash drama. Uh, and I wanted that story to be about internal love as opposed to just external love. A lot of romance stories they talk about how you're tracing this love or this person to make you feel whole, right? They never delve love stories don't really delve into the internal parts of it. Do you love all the parts that make you whole, even the
Mm.
parts that are really rough?
Hmm.
The parts
Yeah,
that
that's a
may
tough question. Yeah.
yeah, the parts that may hinder any romance.
Mm.
Say that you're jealous a lot or you're greedy or you're this or you're that. These things can affect your external relationships. So it's all about finding understanding within oneself. That's what Penny Peculiar really is about. But
And where did the name come from?
it's funny you say that because I love alliteration. So Penny Peculiar,
Mm.
P.
Because it kind of reminds me of like the old Penny Dreadful kind of stuff, you know.
Huh? Yes,
And
perfect.
so just it's only I thought it was a fun twist on that kind of a title. So I thought it was a really good title.
Oh yeah, unrelated to that. I just really
Mm.
like Peter Parker or
Oh, okay, yeah,
when,
yeah, yeah. I
when
gotcha.
Stan Lee would do these things with the words. I'm like, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Yeah, yeah. That is fun. Or like, what is it? In like D&D, they always say like the Hog's Head or something. There's always like a bar that has an alliteration. You know.
Yeah, it's always something, like Victor
Hmm.
Von Doom. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
weird name. So
I
Penny
love it.
Peculiar was just it just rolled off the tongue. So
And then Clover Castle looks more like a western. Is that right?
oh yes, I love westerns. I really do.
Really?
One of my favorite is High Noon. Uh,
Oh, okay, yeah. That's a great
such
movie.
such a great movie. I wanted to make I wanted to make a western for the longest time, and I think what really spurred it subconsciously was Red Dead Redemption. When that first came
Oh,
out,
nice. Yeah.
I was immersed in that world. You know.
Dude, Matt can attest to that. He's played a lot of Red Dead.
Man.
Oh yeah, yeah. Even way back when they first came out with Red Dead Revolver, when it was more
Oh yeah.
arcadey than the actual open world and everything.
Hmm.
Oh, like I could totally attest to that. And not only that, my mom's boyfriend is a huge Western fan too, to the point where I had the chance to get a painting from, I don't remember the artist name, but like it costed the guy like so much money, and he got it for his dad, and I was helping him move stuff because his dad passed and all that.
Yeah.
And he was looking at it, and he's like, "Hey, your mom's boyfriend likes John Wayne, right?" I'm like, "Fucking loves John Wayne. You kidding me?" He was like, "Here, take the painting." And I gave it to him for Father's Day, and he was like, "What?" So now it's just hanging in front of the front of the house,
That's
just
dope.
sitting there by itself. I was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, I love westerns. They harken back to like a western is the most truest American thing ever. Nowhere else in the world did they have cowboys or anything like that. It's purely Americana, you know?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Well,
It is the Wild
little
West.
funny story about a lot of westerns, especially those spaghetti westerns. A lot of those are actually based off of samurai stories and stuff like that, which is
Yeah.
like why they have the whole duels at noon and
Yep.
everything like
Akira
that. That's all based
Kurosawa.
off of samurai duels.
Yeah, Akira Kurosawa.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, like even with the parallels of like the lone warrior and all that kind of stuff, that even
Yeah,
setting that
yeah. The
aside though,
traveling
like
warrior and all that, the
but
traveling
like
cowboy.
but even setting that aside, I think like the Western setting is so unique in the way it, even with the parallels, it's still so different,
Totally.
I can definitely see that. It's I don't want to say it's more of like you were saying, like just saying it's like a total American thing, because it really is. But I think it's
You can feel free to
also
click
the
on
fact.
Oh
the
yeah.
image of
Oh,
Clover
can I click on
Cassidy.
those?
Yeah,
Oh, I
and
didn't know
it'll
I could
take you
click
to
on
the
these,
page
man.
for
Oh,
her to
cool.
read. Yeah.
Oh, that's what's up.
But I also think it harkens back to like the struggles one would have to deal with in those days as well,
Yeah.
because
I might have to switch
it
it back
was
to
more truly wild west, as they say. It was greatly wild, as if no laws truly existed, or you just had to either mutually assured destruction or just everybody would get along in peace. Just because they know at least everyone is packing one gun.
Yeah. And well, the story of
Oh,
Clover
that's
Cassidy
cool.
is Clover and his dad. It's set during a time similar to the Gold Rush. I don't really give out
That's
years
specific.
per
Okay.
se, nothing
Mm-hmm.
specific, but just kind of like the
Oh.
dressing. So him and his dad, they're being a part of the Gold Rush. They're looking for gold. They're trying to find their fame and fortune, right? And as we're about to see now. So yeah, they're fishing for rivers looking for gold. And what does Clover find? He finds a 4-leaf clover.
Oh, snap.
So he's like, "Hey, Dad, look, we're lucky." He's like, "What? I don't know, flowers. I want some gold. That's not lucky. This and the third." So Cassidy's like, "All right, yeah, whatever. We'll keep fishing, fishing around for it or whatnot. But I'll keep it for myself, the 4-leaf clover that is."
Which turns
But
out to be of bigger significance, I imagine.
oh yeah, because as we can see, someone's
Oh,
watching them.
he's like, "Oh damn, he got the clover." Oh snap!
That's news
I love
flame.
that's that look on his face. I can read. He's like, "Damn." I
Oh
love
yeah,
the art, by the way. The art and the lettering all really work together. Oh my god, he's
yes,
so
Yuri,
fun.
he's the best.
Woo! Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
Paul ain't doing so well.
yeah. So he was waiting for them to find gold so he can just poach it and use it for his own.
Damn. Dude, yeah, the art is really striking. The artist does all the coloring and everything.
That's Yuri.
Oh wow, Yuri's yeah, very talented.
Yuri is one of the greatest artists I've ever worked with.
I can understand that. Yeah, it's nice that when you can work with someone who does everything too, like it, can do the line art, the coloring, the lettering.
Yeah, that's typically what I like to do. I don't really like to I don't like to work with too many people
Oh,
on
really?
a thing. I
Oh,
feel like
interesting.
a lot of artists these
So
days, they can do so many things. So why wouldn't you challenge them to do that? Why wouldn't you want them to learn how to do this?
that's very
Hmm.
true. How
So they
many
can grow.
artists total have you worked with off the top
Uh
of your head?
over 50? I don't know.
Whoa. Jeez, man.
I really don't know. Even me telling you that number, I'm not too sure. So
Damn. That's
No,
pretty amazing,
understandable.
man.
Understandable. Well, it just sounds like you've tested a lot of people's strengths and weaknesses in a sense. You've hired a lot,
oh, for sure.
so
I always
I'm
look
pretty
for the
sure
people
each
that
one of them
people.
is grateful for that.
Yeah, I would hope so. I'll always look for the artists that people don't give a shot. So the people that you would least expect to do a whole book, I like to hire those
Mm.
people. I like to
Whoa.
talk to those people. I like to build with them. A lot of people kind of go for a house style or this, that, and the third. But if you look through all my bibliography with all my comics, I work with a lot of different styles. I like to have a lot of different things. I just love it. It's amazing.
That's so cool, man. It's like you falling in love with comic book creation, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
In a sense,
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah, and it really shows with even just all the different styles of storytelling, but also the art styles, even within the variation of the art styles, the way that each artist has their own signature way of doing things.
Exactly.
Right? Like how this one has more of an anime or kind of a manga feel to it.
Yep. See, that's really you. She does an amazing job.
Hmm.
Yeah. And man, just an iconic issue.
I love that
True
cover
science
there.
fiction #1.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say this is the first one. I thought, yeah, that's what I
Yep,
thought.
that's the one that started all of this. So
Whoa.
I'm in reverence to it all the time. It was great. The first
And
book
now,
signing that I had, I sold
oh
out.
yeah,
It was amazing,
oh
man.
wow, yeah.
It was
Do you do conventions and things of that nature? Like any comic cons or anything like that?
nothing too big just yet.
Oh, sorry, you cut out there, or maybe I'm not sure if I cut out. Can you repeat that for me?
Oh yeah, sorry. I haven't done a huge convention just yet. I do a lot more of store to store, like book
Oh,
signings and
nice.
things of
Oh,
that.
that's cool.
Yeah, I
That's a
like
good
to
way to
get
get that out there, man.
yeah, I like to get to know the comic book store owners. I like to, talk with the people that come to these places regularly. I'm very I have more of a grassroots movement. I don't even do
Mm,
crowdfunding or anything like that. I just
all self-funded.
yep, all self-funded, and I just kind of just go out into the world and just kind of do my thing
Do
that way.
your thing. Yeah, I like that. That's cool. Have you ever considered maybe doing a convention at some point in the future?
Convention? Oh yeah, for
Mhm,
sure. I
mhm.
want to do C2E2, but these last few years, I don't know. I just haven't been able to
Get that
get
together.
yeah,
Yeah,
get a
that's
table.
understandable. We definitely can understand that. It's been a couple years for us, since we've been to a convention, so, definitely understandable there. But I definitely think you would do well at a convention. You have so many different books to offer, and, being the creator yourself, I think, will go a long way. People always love to see that.
Oh yeah, I'm so
So
ready for a bigger convention. I've done a lot more
nice.
smaller ones, but nothing to the effect that's like HeroCon or things.
Right, okay. That makes sense, yeah. But
But
you
I
gotta
am
start somewhere, you
itching.
know?
Yeah, I'm itching. I'm itching for the opportunity.
That's good, that's good.
And see, that page right there, I love that scene so much.
Mm,
Where he's looking over Chase, who's in a hospital bed, and he's just kind of like laying it out there, and just the lighting and just it's so cinematic to me.
mm. No, yeah, you're right, I see what you mean, yeah. And it, leaves on that iconic panel there on the right.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's good, man. Now you have a, web store, I believe, is that right?
That's right.
Nice. So do you sell physical copies of your books then?
So I do periodically. I sell like prints on the store, but I usually do it for like a limited time.
Okay, nice.
I
Like a
never,
limited run kind of thing. You gotta get it
yeah, I
when the
never
getting's
let things
good.
linger for too long.
Nice. But and then what about let's see here. I'm pulling up the web store right now. So you said you sell some prints and stuff?
Yeah, so some prints periodically. I usually announce
Nice.
when there's going to be prints, but predominantly it's all digital. I want to make sure that I present to my readers and abroad just really high
Mm,
quality digital comic books. So as you can see, I got them categorized by the series.
that's
You
cool.
can,
I love the way you got that. That's really fun too.
yeah, you click on whichever one, and then it'll take you to that full series, and then you can check it out there. I'm still in the process of putting everything on there because I've got over 26 comics, so
Oh my god.
it's
How do you
always
find the
about
time, man?
reformatting and stuff. Huh?
How do you find the time?
I don't know. You just kind of make time
Wow,
throughout the years. I just kind of made time. So
that's amazing. That's a really incredible feat. I think you definitely can be proud of all the work that you've done.
thank you very much for that.
Yeah,
And
you're very
as you
welcome.
see, I try to make it very affordable for people, just $3. Um, really high quality, as you can see there. Accessibility. Digital is the most accessible means to put out a product. So I always push for digital. I'm
And you
very
can get it
much
out there faster too. As soon as it's done, people can go check it out.
boom. It's just like with music. Like,
Right, yeah,
and then
totally.
it's easier for people to read because we're always on our phones or connected to our phones.
Right? And so many people nowadays have tablets that they read comics on, you
Exactly.
know, and there's all the apps and stuff. So definitely is a,
Yes.
a a good way to do it.
A,
Yeah.
a big motivator for that too was the Viz app. I love how they have it
Mm.
where it's just like $2.99 a month, right? And you get access to this huge library of stuff. And I was like, man, I really want to make an app like that one day. But first, I'm gonna do it this way, where just single issues, $3 each.
And true science fiction, that is is that like each one's a standalone story?
So it does have a continuity.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
So there's true science fiction 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. The main
And
series
then
has
Shades of
six.
Green, it looks like, right?
Yes, Shades of Green acts more like a prequel to one character in particular. Her name is Oblivia, so it delves into her backstory. True science fiction is the series where I kind of like play around with things, so I like to make it
Mm.
very expansive. I don't just like to stick to like the numbered ones.
Okay, that's why there's the shade of green.
Yeah. So there's a
Okay,
Shades of
shade.
Green. There's two other ones that are coming out that are also very specially titled, and I don't want to spoil it though.
Well, that's really cool, man. I love the variety of different work that you've got going on. And you said you've got more comics that you haven't even put up here?
Yeah.
Wow. That's really cool. So what's the future look like then for you? What are you working on right now then?
So right now, I'm gearing up to release my next novella. It's called Royata, and that one's a really big book. That was very ambitious as far as my writing goes. It's like a blend of it's a fantasy epic sort of story. So that one I'm gearing up to release really soon. After that, I got a few other comic books to put out as well. Man, I just got a lot of different stories to tell, really.
And your novellas, how long did that take you? Like, what was the process like compared to when you did your comic books?
Man, Royata took it took a year to write that.
Mm. Oh
I
wow.
had multiple notebooks of just ideas and man, I had thesauruses and dictionaries everywhere. Like I'm really into like utilizing words people wouldn't think to use, or just trying to eliminate common phrases and try to find similes for different words. So that one took a lot longer and it's more intricate, the story.
But I bet it was maybe in some ways more rewarding in that way.
Oh yeah, it was so fun, like to come up with these
Really?
characters.
Oh
Well, the
wow.
story of Rayeta is that it's set in this world where there's four kingdoms, right? There's Soleil, there's Bertrand, Wet Harold, and then Roy Ada, of course. And the stars have aligned in this way where their world is going to be breached by the world of all these supernatural entities or the devils, right? So now the four kingdoms have to come together and try to figure out what they're going to do. But of course, they can't just do that because there's all these egos and all these other personal things between these leaders and the rulers. And not only that, but uh, the supporting cast, that every character has their own motives and goals. And even though that this huge calamity is happening, people are still going to be people. They're still like, okay, but what's in it for me? Like, how does this affect my kingdom? Well, I don't, this, that, and the third. And it's just all these politics. It's just, it was great. It was beautiful.
Whoa, this kind of sounds like it's almost like got a little bit of a Game of Thrones vibe going on.
That's the closest. That's the closest analogy. Yeah, Game of Thrones, Dune.
Nice, yeah, of course, yeah. Because Dune was Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones.
For sure, I'm inspired by a lot of 18th century, 19th century writers as well. So it's got some Shakespeare in there. It's got some Don Quixote in there as well.
I like that, man. I like your variety of different, influences. That's really cool.
Yeah. I'm just I'm just huge into different notable creators. Like, I just want to know everything.
That makes sense. I like that. Yeah. And so I've got this one up here. This one I wanted to talk to you about. I kind of noticed that this is a crossover.
Yeah,
event.
beautiful.
Yeah, what can you tell us about that one?
So Multi Melee is the big crossover event. That one was inspired by Super Smash Brothers. I just love the idea of having all these various characters from different series come together and just fight each other. And the way that it's written and styled and designed is that it is a video game with some character. Well, all the characters are aware that they're in a game, but some of them are just in it to compete. Some of them are in it to find out, well, who's controlling all this? What's going on? And that's why in the cover, on the cover art there, you can see that there's this mysterious character in the background. He appears to be watching and influencing the events around him. And he's the villain Vasha. And of course, you got all the numerous characters in the foreground just fighting it out, unaware of who's really pulling the strings, so to speak.
Yeah, like why'd I respawn here?
Yeah, right.
And then, excuse me, it's nice that you got the press start, of course, and the loading screen, and the versus screen. That's always, you gotta have that.
Yeah, and then the last one, click on that.
Or this one here?
Yeah, and there's Vasha.
And new challenger approaches.
Yeah, classic.
Dude, that's cool. That's great, man. That's fun. That's the other thing you can tell is you're always having fun with your comics. It doesn't look like that any of them that you did not have fun with.
I love them all. I really do.
Do you have a favorite?
Do I have a favorite?
Uh-huh.
Damn, you're putting me on the spot.
I know, it's like choosing one of your babies. How are you gonna do that?
It really is. It's so hard. Off the top of my head, I really enjoyed making Clover Cassidy 2. That one was such a deep story, and it had like allegories, and it was beautiful.
So, and 2 is the one that's coming out next, right?
What was that?
Is 2 is not yet released? Is that right?
Oh, it's been released. I just have to put it on the website.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so that one I really enjoyed. Shrivel 2, I enjoyed that a lot. Shades of Green, Multi Melee the most, because it was so much. It was so many like trials and tribulations getting that one.
Really?
Done. Oh my god, yes.
Oh wow.
It took so long to get it done, but I'm just so happy with the final product.
Think you'd ever come back and do another Multi Melee?
Oh, for sure. I want to do a second one. I want to make sure I do it even bigger than the first.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I love having crossovers. It's so fun.
And so, was comic books something that's always been a part of your life? Like, did you grow up reading comic books, or did you get into comic books later, or how? Or was it really just all out of your love of creation that you found your way into comics?
So again, it goes back to the life that chose me. So
Mhm.
my first introduction to a comic book was my mom's boyfriend at the
Mm.
time. He was a huge X-Men fan, right?
Mm.
So he
Mhm.
had a lot of X-Men comics and stuff. That was the first time I can remember me looking at a comic book. But I never really read them like that at the time. I was still just watching TV, playing video games and stuff, right? So flash forward, some years from that, and then my uncle, he's a huge comic book fan. So he would show me his collection and things like that. And we would talk about different characters because I knew them from TV shows. But again, I was like, I'm not really gonna read them though. So then fast forward from there. I mean, my teacher, Mr. Eric Jackson, Eric, whatever. In
Mhm.
like middle school, he was a huge comic book guy, and this was during when Civil War had just started, so like
Mm.
2006, 7 or whatever. And then that's when I really started to pay attention more to comic books. I was like, oh, this stuff is really interesting as far as like the new stuff that's coming out. So yeah, and then fast forward from there, I started collecting like graphic novels when I was working at Barnes and Nobles. That's what it was. And then fast forward from there, I started working at Half Price Books, and we had a lot of comic
Oh,
books
yeah?
there. Yeah,
I was just there the other day.
yeah. It's it,
That's
it's
funny.
been a gradual process.
That's yeah, you kind of going from one place to another and finding your way,
Yeah,
ultimately
from
to where
one
you are
person
now.
to the other person. Like they would always introduce these things to me, but at the time, I just wasn't really focused on it. I was kind of doing music. I was doing this. I was doing that.
And so, do you ever see yourself getting back into music then, or what's that? What do you feel about that?
It's funny you mention that because I actually make music to be soundtracks for the comic books themselves.
Really?
So for Penny Peculiar, I did a soundtrack for that. I do theme
Where's
songs
that
for
at?
all the
Did you have
comic
that
books.
online for people
Yeah,
to
you
check
can go
out?
to go on my website. You can click the Bandcamp logo, and then you'll see all the most recent songs. I do songs for just about every comic book I make, just about.
Oh yeah, Bandcamp. Yeah,
Hmm.
let's share that up here and put the link on the screen.
So yeah, I still
That's
incorporate the music in when I
that's
do
so cool.
promotional videos and trailers. I do soundtracks for that.
You
And
can't take the music out of you, man. It just it's there.
not at all. I couldn't even if I tried.
That's cool. So, do you mind if I play some of it, or
Oh yeah, please do.
here, let me make sure I got the audio shared here. Um, let's see. Cool. There we go. Well, that rocked.
Yeah, the second
That was
track is
awesome,
even
man.
second
Oh
track is
yeah.
even better. I
Okay, let's
love
do
that
that.
one. Just like pure punk rock. It's amazing.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
let's check it out. that was pretty badass. I think we lost him for a second. It was too bad. It was too. The rock music was too awesome. He just crashed out. You there, Matt?
Yeah, it seems like it. That's a little strange.
Uh-huh. Hopefully we'll be back here in just a moment. Maybe his internet cut out. But man, that was really interesting. I love the music on that. It really wasn't what I was expecting. I love the rock angle. I love how heavy it is in some ways, but also how
Hmm.
like kind of upbeat and fun it is, you know?
Well, that's pretty much punk.
Right? I mean, that is true. Yeah, that is really the essence of punk music. It's almost, but you don't see it as much. Punk music is kind of like a lost art in some ways. We got another one here.
Yeah, y- yeah, and then it
Right?
changed, and
Yeah. As music always does in the end, no music style can ever stay the same forever.
that's
Music is
true.
a thing of change in
That's
the
true.
end,
No music can stay pure.
right?
I don't like art.
True. New styles will always come along and supplant those that came before, and new trends and styles will always be, ever, changing really. But, that's kind of why it's cool to see creators and artists like Lanier, aka Cool's Dolo, who are doing so many different things where they're flexing all of their muscles, with all the different with music, with comics, with movies, with whatever, with novels, and so yeah, it is a really cool thing to see.
Well, yeah, in a way, he's truly immersing you into the story, but also the universe of
Mm-hmm.
what's going on. Like I can really appreciate that.
Totally.
Because
Now,
back when I was doing some game
mm,
demos way back when,
mm, mm,
God, man, like I was trying to do all of that, like figure out what kind of songs would fit well with the universe I'm building. Can I use some modern, or should I stick with to like generic shit for now? Can I do this? Can I do that? Oh, what about the game engine? How am I gonna do that? Like I
right.
was trying a bunch of different stuff, and I eventually got a system to where it was pretty good on. But
All right, I'm back,
here's the
guys.
kicker.
Wi-Fi, man.
Yo,
Not
we
a
were just
problem.
about to listen to another song. You want us to pop it in, or
Oh yeah, King
Yeah,
Short
go
of
ahead.
King Shore
that was one
Medley?
of my favorite.
Is it really okay?
With songs like this, I like to make a like really ambient kind of music.
Mm,
Like really, you
totally.
can really immerse yourselves in what you're hearing.
I love the atmosphere of it. It really does bring across the style that I feel like you would have in the King Shore novel.
Oh, for sure. It's
Because
really like mysterious, murky,
right,
misty.
obscure,
Mm-hmm.
and I love the piano too. Well, definitely people should go check out all of the music that you got on there. And I love this. You switch up the beat. For the mood changes, and it brings you into a new part of the song.
Mm-hmm. Much like the book that inspired me, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. Like I said, people can go check out the whole thing. We don't have to, play the whole thing here, but people can go check out. Not that we don't want to. I just don't want
Oh yeah,
to
please
give
do.
away every.
Yeah,
What I mean is, I don't want to give away everything. Got to save some for people to go check out
that's right.
hear it on their own. So I don't want to spoil everything for them.
Supply and
But I do
demand.
love your music, man. It is really cool.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think when you got cut off, I was saying how cool the first couple songs I listened to were because how different we were. Like that you said it was that punk rock feel, and I was saying how
Mm-hmm.
I was telling Matt how like that's not you don't really see that anymore. That the punk rock scene isn't there's not it's not a whole lot of it these days. Um, so it's cool to see that. You
Yeah,
doing that.
I'm a lover of the old style of punk, so
Oh yeah.
I'm big on that.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I
cool.
love old school punk.
That's
To me,
awesome,
that's
man.
like the only true punk. Everything else is kind of.
Just imitations, right? In a sense.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say imitations. It's just they
it's
don't
so much more
have that
radio.
true punk feel. Like
Yeah,
that's
real
kind
Manufactured
of
in
to
a
me,
sense.
real punk music was like anti all just about
Mhm.
everything, right? But like punk
pretty
now, I
much.
guess you could say they definitely cater to radio. They definitely want to be on this and that. They want to be popular. Punk wasn't about being popular.
Mhm. That's really interesting, man. That's so
It was
true.
about going against certain norms and stuff. Like that's why
Exactly.
Gigi Allen was like considered like crazy. He was a
Yeah,
crazy punk guy. Like that, he
yeah, he
really
was crazy.
he really was. Like that's the thing. Like he really
He
was the
he
crazy
took it
punk guy.
to the extreme. I like
Yeah.
I was more into say the Clash. They had a perfect balance of where they were punk, but they had a lot of substance. They could do radio songs too. They could just balance it all together. They were really perfect at that.
Yeah, same thing
That's
with
awesome.
the Ramones and then
Yeah. Oh yeah.
man, who is it? I'm really trying to think of it. Like they had like one or two songs on the radio, but other than that, they didn't really have much because they didn't really want to do it. But I can't think of their name right now. I know there's one back where I used to live that actually had that style, but they were more, you could say, new age punk kind of thing, but they still had that old school punk style
Mm-hmm.
where they were called RU36 and they were like an extremely popular band back where I used to live.
They just don't make it like they used to.
Nope, not anymore.
They really don't.
Now you have your own YouTube channel, right? With different shows that you do.
Oh yeah. So I got my own YouTube channel. I got some of my old films on there that I directed and shot. I've got music videos, interviews with different artists, promo videos, trailers. I do just about a little everything.
Nice. Yeah, people should definitely go check that. I got the link up there on the screen there for you. And
Yeah.
you know, obviously you've written a lot of comics here. Do you have any advice that you would give for someone who's maybe just starting out and with their first comic?
I would say go against the norm. Don't be afraid to take risks. You know, just because you see a strategy work for like 10 other people, that doesn't mean that you should just automatically try that. You should try to make your own blueprint. You should try to be unique to yourself. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
that's what I really would say for sure. And
Well,
also
definitely, I appreciate that.
when you're writing, focus on the characters because characters drive plot. Plot doesn't push characters. Characters push plots. What
Mm,
does the character want? What can't they have? Why are they fighting to get it? Why did they lose it? You know, who did they
mm,
backstab? Who do they love? Who do they
yeah,
hate? Who birthed them? What? Why? So many different things. Like these are really genuine human emotions that you can flesh out of
right.
these characters, and you should really explore that.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Like that, it seems like such an important thing that could easily get lost if it, you don't pay attention to it.
Dude, yeah, it gets lost all the time because people are trying to make the big story, right? They want these big
Hmm.
things, but they forget at
That's
the heart of it.
exactly what I've always said.
Really.
Like, yeah, people
Yeah,
always
that's
go
why I
for that.
say like people need. Go on, sorry.
No, no, it's fine. It's like, so say for an analogy's sake, you ever seen Casablanca?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
It's a
Hmm.
film that's super simple. I mean, these
True.
characters when they get
Yeah.
out of this country, whatever.
Hmm.
And while the backdrop is World War II and it's so big, right? But we're only
Mm.
focused on this little part, this little cafe with all these characters. And that's the part of the story that's the best part. It's not about the world war. It's not about all that stuff. It's about these characters in this little setting. What do they want? How do they do things? What are their personality? What are their quirks? And
Oh
you
wow.
fall in love with them, and you fall in love with all these things. And I feel like that gets lost in storytelling these days. You're so big, you're focused on the bigger picture, but it's the little things that really click with people.
Hmm. No, that makes a lot of sense. You
Yeah,
really, I
that
can tell you've
that's
crafted. You take a lot of care with how you craft your stories.
For sure.
Yeah, and I definitely appreciate that. And makes me excited to see what you come out with next. To see all the different comics that you'll be coming out with soon, and all the different projects. Whether it be another comic, a novel, or maybe even another movie like you used to, do back in the day. Some film stuff. So
Man, I would
you know.
love to make another movie.
Yeah, if you would you ever think about making like a an adaptation of one of your comics?
Oh, for sure. Ever since I saw Spider-Verse, the first and the newer one, I was like,
Uh-huh.
holy fucking shit, I need to make I need to make an animated movie like this. It just
Which one
blew
would
my
you make
fucking
it of?
mind. Uh well, I guess because I'm a softie, I'd probably say true science fiction first, because
Yeah.
you
Yeah, that
know,
makes sense. That's where it all started, like you said.
yeah, it's just where it all started, man. Oh,
That's
man,
really
I
cool.
couldn't wait. It was great.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, hey, we appreciate you coming on and talking with us about your comics and a little bit about what makes you tick. You know.
Yeah, and thank you guys very much for having me. And sorry for the technical difficulties,
Yeah,
Wi-Fi.
that's okay. No problem at all. And where can people follow you online to make sure they can check out all the stuff you got going on?
So if you're looking for Lanier Burton, aka Coolest Dolo, that's COOLESDOLO.com. And at Coolest Dolo on various different medias. I'm on TikTok and this, that, and the third. Funny
Yeah,
story.
you're.
My nickname
Go
was
ahead.
inspired by a Kid Cudi song, by the way.
Oh yeah. Oh, nice.
He has a
I'm a
song
big Kid Cudi
called
fan.
Mr. Solo Dolo.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That
I was
makes
like,
sense. I feel it.
yeah, I was like, that's a cool name. And I was like, Coolest Dolo. Yeah,
Dude, that's awesome. I definitely love that, man. Kid Cudi's definitely one of my favorites. So
yeah.
that's cool, man. Nice, man. And you, of course, mentioned you got the YouTube channel, and you are also on Twitter as Cools Dolo as well.
Mm-hmm.
Any other social media you tend to go on, or is Twitter mostly where you find yourself?
Oh no, I'm mostly on Instagram.
Oh yeah? Oh really? More on
Yeah,
Instagram even? Oh really? Oh,
I'm
okay.
way more on Instagram than Twitter. I
Oh, that's
like
funny.
Twitter. You know, you
Same
know.
Cools Dolo on Instagram as well.
Oh, for sure. I keep it pretty much all Coolest Dolo anywhere.
Nice. Then that is helpful to be able to find you that
Oh,
way.
for sure.
Nice, man. Well, cool. Well, thank you again, man. Maybe we'll see you on a future episode or somewhere else, but we'll definitely be following all your comics and supporting you along the way.
It's been a great time. This has been a really great interview. Probably my favorite of the year so far. I gotta
Good.
say.
Oh, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. And everyone, if you guys are watching live or if you're watching on the replay, please go check out all his amazing comics. We showed you some of them tonight, and there's just so many different ones that you can check out, from Give Me the Loot to True Science Fiction and Penny Peculiar.
Yep.
There's just so much to see. So please go check it out. And we'll see you guys on a future episode of the Indie Spotlight. Take care,
Yeah.
everyone. Have a great night.
Have a good one.
Woo.